Okay, reminder. Turn your mics on when you're talking. Turn them off when you're not talking.
Test 1, 2.
Good job. If we go to break, other than the pledge, because pledge time will be done, but if we take a break in between there, everything's going to stay running, so turn all mics off because live will stay on.
Okay.
How about if we go on, off, on, off?
All
do
right.
you,
Everybody's
Todd.
on.
Yep, we're ready.
We got a lot to get to today,
right.
so I will open this meeting of the DeKalb County Commissioners. The date is December 5th, 2022. So everybody saddle up and let's go.
Good morning. I think I'm on first. Brian, do we want to wait until Tiffany gets here? Okay, well, I'd rather go ahead and get your side out of the way so that you could move on and get your stuff done. So why don't you come up to the microphone? A few weeks ago, Central had brought to you a part-time employee who was going full-time and had requested that the person have their PTO start, you know, the level of PTO start at their anniversary date, which would have been when they were, you know, started part-time. You ask them to take a look, see what else they would recommend instead of PTO, and so they are back. I did, in consultation with them, I suggested that they actually put dollars to how much it was going to save the county by hiring this person at full-time as opposed to starting someone green off the, you know, off the street to train them. So anyway, that sets the table, and I will let Brian go on.
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you hearing us again. I believe Susan got you the document that I prepared. As you can see, we're going to save a very significant amount of money and by bringing this person back. And this person is one of the best dispatchers I've ever had. And we are currently now, once he starts back fully staffed, still with a couple people in training, the dollar amount to give this person or grant them 10 PTO days is $3,100 and change. But here's the thing. Actually, it will cost us nothing because we do not have to backfill his position if he takes a PTO day. He's going to come in, drop right into the schedule, and take over a position and not have to have any training. He's completely trained, has the certifications that we require, and to give them 10 PTO days, I think is a fair number to start him with versus what it's saving the county in training time, training funds, our trainer, and everything like that. I understand there was some concern about setting a precedent. That precedent was already set by the previous commissioners with the county highway hire. Mm-hmm. We definitely need to be aggressive in hiring our new candidates, and we can't get any better than what we're getting right here. The man walks in, sits down, and is filling the position competently, and I really hope you guys will consider doing this. I mean, we're going to pay him very well, competitively with everybody else.
What would his pay be?
We're starting $24.54, and that is our salary for our dispatchers next year.
Has he indicated that he wouldn't come back if he didn't get the 10 days PTO?
He did not want to make that statement because he does want to come back, but he really could. He's just been married. He does have several children. He already had time built up at his current employer for things that they planned on doing. And I want to afford him the opportunity to be able to take that family vacation, kids' programs at school, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. The fact that the previous commissioners granted some time for the highway superintendent position. A little different scenario. It was under a different format as far as the handbook is concerned. And then again, the previous commissioners. I think that's the key word, previous. But I'm not totally opposed to giving us 10 days. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Why did he leave before?
He had aspirations to actually be an officer on the road. He has completed those aspirations for the last 5 years as an officer in our county for another municipality. And the current climate and the fact that he's now married, the kids would rather have dad and stepdad a little bit safer.
Coming back for that reason too, then.
Yes. Plus, we're actually paying him probably just a hair more than he was making on the road.
For pay?
Yep.
What did we do to fill his position when he left?
Actually, we've had open positions for several years.
You never filled that position?
This will be the first time, sir, in my tenure and the previous director's tenure that we will have all spots filled.
Okay. Is he part-time now?
Yes. He gives us 24 hours a month. He comes in, works a 12-hour shift, and is
When did he start part-time?
just shy of 5 years ago.
I'm going to say 4.5.
4.5, almost 5 years ago. He went
It's
part-time.
what's in print.
So was he part-time while he was being a police officer too?
Yes. Yes, he was full-time, went to, he was still a part-time status, but took a few weeks off while he was at the academy. As soon as he was back from the academy, 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours a month. He's always stayed with us.
Mike, comments?
Compelling case to do it, and just from a dollars and cents standpoint, I know how expensive training is, particularly for,
Thank you.
now Bill can hear me, particularly for central dispatch. That's a lot more complicated than training for highway or some other department, so I'm certainly not opposed to it.
Well, I think it goes both ways when, I appreciate the fact he's wanting to come back, I appreciate the fact he's trained, but I can tell you as a business owner, when I rely on someone and pay them well and they leave me, and then they come back 2 years later, I've never given them a raise. I've never given them anything. Matter of fact, I usually won't even hire them. Loyalty goes both ways. Generally, I don't fire people. I think that when you hire someone, it's family. So you guys have a nice family environment out there. I like it. And when someone leaves you, especially for a reason of, well, I think I want to be a cop, and that's his aspiration. But I think there's consequences to, it's not punishment, I'm just saying consequences. I think you're opening a can of worms. I'd rather see council, if they really think it saves the county money, I'd like to see the council give them a stipend or something. You know, if that's, because we're going to have it again. We're going to have temporary people saying, well, if you gave me this, I'll probably come back. If not, I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. I think it's going to set us up.
I have to agree with that.
I firmly believe that you may have another request of this nature, but this individual was also a firefighter, a medic. The knowledge, wisdom, and the competency we're going to get by bringing this person back outweighs, in my book, somebody else coming in and saying, well, I want this. What are you bringing to the table? As long as I've been with the county, just shy of 30 years, I have seen the county be a place of second chances. When we were at the sheriff's department, we had people leave because they thought they wanted to do something else. And they've come back. I've seen that, I don't know how many times.
We had a similar situation with the VSO.
Yeah, but we didn't give them extra bonus to come back.
We had another situation where an employee quit 30 days later come back. What do we do with that employees?
If the person comes back within 3 months, everything, it goes back
it is
to their original. Yeah.
Okay.
If 10's too much, what will you give me?
So-
Let's make a deal.
So what are you gonna do then when others come that want their part-time employees' time, part-time time, then they go full-time, that they want their part-time years to count as years of service with the county for their PTO?
Yeah, that's a point Todd's been
Because I have
making.
two of them. I have two people that were part-time, went full-time, and I had to tell them both no, that their part-time years
saying.
didn't count for anything.
Everyone in the building, well, maybe it's time to go part-time because I can add another 5 or 10 right now. And I just think it's a bad idea. I'm sure the guy's wonderful, nothing against him. Labor market's changing, folks, too. And I know everyone says you gotta poach, steal, lie to get people, but
No, I don't want to poach, I don't want to lie, and I don't want to steal.
no, I know, to get people to
Yeah,
work for you is what
but-
I'm saying.
Well,
I really feel that we need to do something. If we've got someone that was full-time, I understand they left because they had aspirations of being something else. And now they want to come back to us. Law Enforcement Academy gave this man a lot of training. And if you look at a lot of our dispatchers, they're reserve police officers, they're EMTs, they're firefighters. That all benefits us, and to give them something, because he's been continuously employed with us for almost 10 years.
Well, that makes another point. They spent a lot of money training him as an officer, and now they're losing him and have to train someone. So this costs us money, the county, any way you look at it. Now if he wants to quit here, he can go be a police officer again somewhere else. He's already trained. Let's say he decides to move to Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's trained up and at our expense. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a wonderful candidate. I think the council should give him a bonus. Matter of fact, I sent an email to Donnie. I wish we would pay people according to their merits instead of across the board 3%.
Yes, I read your email.
This guy might be a $30 an hour guy. But I just think it's a can of worms. There's going to be multiple part-time people that are going to want the same treatment, and they're actually going to cry foul if they don't get it, and I don't blame them.
well, and I'm not entirely sure there's a precedence in these situations. I think you have to look at each one on a case-by-case basis. And this is a public safety position, which has a different connotation than an office position as well. So in the interest of time, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the PTO time, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Make one comment before that. That's one thing I don't like is saying some people are needed and others aren't. I think that's one
Well,
of the
that's not
reasons.
what I said, Todd.
No. I'm just saying, we said there's essential people. That's an essential position. And we have a whole bunch of people that feel like they're not worth anything. And I think that's why we have the employment problem we have right now.
Well, that's a complete misrepresentation of what I said.
Okay, I'm just telling you, that's what we were told, though. Nurses and police officers are needed and everyone else stay home. And I just think that that's why we're at. Great guy, I love the idea. I can't second that.
I can't either. I'm not going to second it. I'd rather see us give him an additional raise.
For that.
If you guys are open to that, I can move him to a different pay slot that has a higher pay rate.
That's what I would recommend. Do I have a motion?
I don't
think we
We
can do
can't.
that,
I don't
It's
think
not
you
up
guys
to us.
have the ability to do that.
but you can
Well,
recommend it to
we
the
can make
council.
a recommendation.
Well, I do have a trainer slot that does pay more per hour. I can move him into that pay slot because eventually he will be one of our trainers. So,
because I think he's worth his salt. I really do. I'm just trying to be consistent with everyone, and
Well, yeah.
I think that's thinking outside the box, and you know he's going to be there anyway. I'd be all for that.
And just so everybody knows, it's on the record, we believe everybody's essential. I mean, everybody
appreciate that.
needs to be valued.
Appreciate that.
Again, in my history with the county, we've had a lot of time, it's other departments they're not mentioned, they're not looked upon.
Let's
Some
go
people may-
let's go that route. That'll keep it cleaner.
Okay, perfect.
No,
Thank you
no,
very
fine
much,
with
gentlemen.
No pushback in the future.
He'll be working the same hours as a trainer?
He will be on a 12-hour rotation, so we'll balance it out so it doesn't cost anything extra. As far as overtime and things of that nature, we'll keep it in check.
Good solution.
I need to think about that.
Okay, we'll work it out.
Yeah, I need to think about that before we just go with it, because
Think about what?
job description, well, if he's going to be if he's going to be a trainer and the job description says a different work time, I don't know what it says, and if I have to,
I don't
Back
believe we have
that
any
for
assigned
the-
hours as far as that, so,
I just need to verify all that
Verify what it
before
is.
I'm comfortable with saying go for it with state board,
Okay.
because I have to be able to
board.
back all that.
Want to
Verify
put
that and
hands-
get back to Brian.
Right. I can. I need to see everything
I will
with
get
my
you that.
eyes, then think about it in my head at the moment.
I will get you that
No, I
job
totally
description.
understand and get it. I just need to look at
Well,
some
yeah,
things.
I don't want anybody getting any ringer over anything, so I'd much rather we verify everything and go forward.
Okay.
All right.
Let's
Thank
go
you,
down
guys.
that
Appreciate
road,
it.
and if it doesn't work out, we'll come back and revisit it. But yeah,
All right.
let's
Thank you.
figure on that. Thanks,
Have a good day,
Brian.
guys.
Thanks, Brian.
And just for the record, I have said repeatedly in these meetings that our staff is by far the most valuable asset we've got, and I didn't differentiate between law enforcement or
No, I didn't
versus
say you
anybody
did.
else.
But-
I
but-
just
No,
want to make that
I
clear.
didn't say one was more important than the other, but you said we had to give precedence to this one because it was law enforcement. And to me,
No, I didn't. That's not what I said, Todd. I said it's a public safety position. I said there is no precedence. It's a case-by-case basis.
meaning it's more important than the others. Since we have to,
Meaning that law enforcement, or not law enforcement, public safety is one of the primary functions of government.
I understand, but across the board, we hire and we should be equal across the board. Otherwise, we get people, it causes animosity is my only part. We found a solution. It's all good. We think
Yeah,
outside the
No,
box.
that's fine.
I'm
I'm
good
perfectly
with it.
happy with the solution. Just clarifying the statement.
Good.
Dottie.
Next, all right, probably next importance is the decision on Sunny Meadows. We had 2 candidates last week that you interviewed. You received my report from the tours that I did with them out at Sunny Meadows. We have candidate number 2, which was the former employee, and then we have candidate number 5. And do we have a decision? And I hope that you had taken into consideration that RN situation, and I must have discounted that, put that off to the side. I can, of course, my intent is to get back to everyone regardless of whatever status it is. So anyway, is there a decision, and that you would like for me to offer the position to one or the other, or are you interested in second interviews, or am I giving you too many options?
No, I think that's fine. Number 2 or number 5, right?
Number
choice.
2 or number 5.
Number
right?
2 or number 5? Yes.
Motion?
Make a motion that we hire bachelor number 2.
I will second that motion.
All right, motion and a second.
Bachelorette number 2.
Bachelorette.
Are
That's more correct.
there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Now, should we name her for the record? Or
Probably not yet,
No.
Okay.
yes.
Until she
Because
accepts.
individuals still need to, notice.
Okay, I didn't know if legally we had to name them to
No.
make it official. We've identified her, okay, all right.
Yeah. Opposed? No opposition, so there you go, Dottie.
All righty. Okay, I know what I get to do a little bit later today. And then at 10:30, you will start your interviews for county attorney. You have one at 10:30, one at 11, one at 11:30, and one at noon. You have their resumes in front of you and their proposals. I will be here just to kind of coordinate the traffic out in the hallway for you. So, we'll move forward on that one. In other hiring news, we had one step forward, one step back with the sheriff's department, I'm afraid. We had a confinement officer candidate, and kind of at the last minute, a psych eval report came back, and it was decided to rescind the offer.
Too bad.
Yeah, so, we keep plugging along. I will say that there were not very many responses to that huge ad that I had in KPC. Sorry. But, it was the old college try. If you don't ask, you don't get. So at least it was a little bit better than the ad that I had in for the highway department. We really, who knows what we'll do next year to continue recruiting for the sheriff's department. We'll keep plugging along. Community corrections, their part-time clerk starts. They still have a posting for a part-time juvenile facilitator, educational facilitator out there at the Change Academy, and hopefully interviews will be coming along. I had one come in over the weekend. The clerk's position has been filled, and that person will be starting on December 19th. So not next Monday, but Monday after that. We do have an opening for the county surveyor who submitted his letter of retirement last week. And I do know that the wheels are starting to turn on that with regard to the Republican caucus. So that will...
Do you know if there are any names thrown into the hat yet on that situation?
all I know are there are names being bantered about. So that's all I know. Whether or not those individuals are, interested.
Nobody's filed yet.
I don't know. So there is that.
Surveyor.
Let's see. Pretty much we're down to a low roar when it comes to hiring. So that's good. The last week I attended the Indiana Association of County Commissioners and was on a panel, county administrators, the executive assistants, county human resource directors are worth their weight in gold. By the way, with the gold, the price of gold right now, I'm worth about $5 million, just kind of an FYI, so I'll talk to council about, getting that raise.
I'll get those gold-plated bricks for you
Would you?
immediately.
Yeah. Actually, it was a very well-attended session, and, I gave props to the Board of County Commissioners at the time who saw the need for HR, and there are other counties that were in that, county commissioners who were in the meeting, and they took my business card, they took my job description, and I'm sure, we had some very nice conversations after the session about HR, and, seeing the need for someone to at least coordinate a lot of the things. There are state and federal laws that we have to abide by. And, sometimes it takes a little digging to get into it. So good session, and hopefully I made you guys proud. On another note, we have kind of the end of the year sort of things happening, and Mike and I have spoken, and also Rick Ring, to a couple individuals, a couple companies, and we would like to have educational sessions regarding becoming self-insured, the processes that it will take, the steps that we will need to take to become self-insured. We would like to have one do a presentation next week and one the week after, so that you can take a look at what we have down the road. Hopefully, we'll get those, all done before January, and then in January, decisions can be made, and we can really start rolling toward that decision. After that decision is made, then it's kind of up to auditor's office, myself, to really get things in place along with whomever we choose for that third-party administrator, the reinsurance company, things like that. So I'm very hopeful that decisions can be made very quickly.
That's what we'll push for.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, I still have 4 minutes. Oh, just kidding. Anyway, tried to speak quickly, get all of that stuff down, and get back to my office, and then be back for you guys and your executive
15.
session.
Yeah, okay.
Real quick, was
Yeah.
there any counties our size that didn't have an HR?
Yes,
Really?
yes, there are.
Because that's, 200, what are we at, 250
We have about
employees?
350 employees.
We didn't-
350.
We didn't
Yes.
used to.
Yeah, with
For a long time, we didn't have an
with
HR.
our board members that we
Board,
consider,
yeah,
we
yeah.
consider employees per
Yeah.
the State Board of Accounts. We also have, election workers that are considered employees, certain election workers, and with our full-time and our part-time people. So, which is sort of bizarre. We also, there's a, let's see, what was it? It was Montgomery County has a county administrator. So he works directly underneath, kind of the manager for the county commissioners. But part of his duties, it's HR. They do not have an HR person. And he was looking at me like, can I be on your HR network? We need an HR person. But unfortunately, in addition to all the other duties, as you can imagine, the Board of Commissioners hands off to him with management. There's so many things. You guys make decisions, but then it takes, the foot soldiers to take care of it. And so he's running in a bazillion, directions. So,
Right.
yeah. So that's, which,
Okay.
and we've had, the decision was made basically back in 2014, 2015 to, hire, to get an HR department. So, yeah. And I also gave props to my auditor's office, because without the auditor team that was in place and still is, the HR department would not have been as successful starting up as we were.
Great.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Dottie.
You're welcome.
Have a
Okay.
good day.
You know where I live.
Yes. I wish you'd start paying rent, though.
Right.
The copper ceilings or something.
I'm going to say that.
Like copper ceilings, that's right.
And the fireplace.
And
That
fireplace.
doesn't work, but that's beside the point.
Could I have a bearskin rug?
Yes.
All right, let's clean up a couple of things here before we have Andrew come up. Claims,
Move to approve claims.
Second?
motion second to approve claims and additional comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Claims are approved. Minutes. Chance to read the minutes?
Yes. Approve?
Second.
Motion and second to approve minutes and additional comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. I'm getting feedback.
Getting feedback?
I'm getting feedback. Turn that down a little bit. It's not from you guys, it's from me. Okay, travel.
Move your receiver away from the microphone a little bit.
Probably
Yeah,
help.
2 microphones are probably too close. Yeah, there you are.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll help. Travel.
Move to approve travel as presented.
Second.
And motion second, approve travel. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Wow. I think, catch us up a little bit. Andrew, you want to come on up? What you got today for us?
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75, Butler, Indiana. Actually didn't know if I was going to get here in time, but we don't actually have, I don't have a ton for you guys today. Things are exciting. I didn't think I was going to make it in time. We've got tons of yard signs going up. We've got big signs going up in people's yards. We've got billboards. I don't know if anyone noticed the cards, but we've got like hundreds of cards being passed out around the county, possibly thousands.
I was up 101 yesterday and saw the signs.
Nice, good. Actually, I didn't bring you guys.
Ooh, we're lucky.
We've actually got something real special this week, though. It's interesting because as I've been handing these out, I've mostly been handing them directly to people and talking to those people. And it's interesting because not a single person I've talked to told me they were for solar, argued against me in any way, shape, or form. But every single person I talked to wanted more information and wanted to know what was going on and was not really okay with what was going on. So just as a general note, as I talk to people, no one's okay with this, with the way it currently is. And I've gotten some feedback from people that have actually taken them, gone out, looked, and been like, oh my. So just a note, I don't have a ton for you guys today. I have a couple general questions about the ordinance because I'm more legalese than I'm used to. So I actually have a couple general questions. But before that, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to give some of my time to Mr. Williams over here to talk about a couple topics.
Let's hold off on that a little bit.
Okay.
I got a couple of things I want to run by you first.
Yeah.
And that, I didn't have another copy for you, but I want to actually, it's a commissioner discussion in the paper I just handed out. This is a suggestion I have about the 80-acre maximum with a quarter-mile separation. What's thoughts? Todd, Mike?
Sorry.
I think this will give some leeway. I think it addresses not only the concerns of the citizens that live among these fields, but it gives some consideration to the landowners that want to rent out property for solar fields, and yet doesn't inundate the entire landscape with solar. I don't know.
Just from a first blush standpoint, I think having the discussion is certainly okay with this. I'm not sure, and I think we need a solid legal opinion going forward. There have been a substantial number of financial agreements, private financial agreements made in good faith based on the current ordinance. So I don't know what this would look like if you try to make it, if you try to make it effective on agreements that have already been executed. Because if somebody owns 500 acres and they've already committed their entire acreage and signed an agreement on it, I don't know how the county legally unwinds a private agreement between taxpayers without this possibility of triggering some pretty serious damage liability. And again, I'm just saying, I would want a pretty solid legal opinion on this. As far as this, on something going forward with anything subsequent to changing the UDO, I think it's worth a discussion.
Todd, what's your thoughts?
I like the two sides.
Yeah, I like that.
I
too.
thought about it, and there's properties that could be surrounded by four sides if you count up the road across from. Looking back, realized I made a mistake not understanding the overlays. I always thought overlays were like what the airport uses to restrict use of land. For instance, the overlay over the airport keeps waterfowl from, you can't put in a pond there because of waterfowl. Well, we saw what happened to Sully when he had to land in the Hudson River when that jet hit all those geese. Auburn Airport's growing quite a bit, and they're trying to protect people from dying, so you restrict land. So when there's danger to people or there's a bad use of land, you want to restrict it if it's not benefiting the community. That's, to me, what an overlay should be for. If I could do this over, if there's some way to get there, I'd like to get rid of the overlay. And I would like to see allow solar and allow them with industrial zoning and have berms like SDI and properly done. I think it's either, and I've talked to two farmers on this, and one of them doesn't want any, says I could care less about solar at all. The other one would like to put solar in. He goes, the one that both of them said, our land is ag land, that's our property rights. You overlay it to let us do other things. What else are we going to overlay in the future to allow special interests? So I'd like to see the overlay removed. I'd like to see anyone that wants to put in a solar farm purchase the land and convert it to industrial, or make the farmer convert it to industrial and lease them the industrial land. That's what I'd like to see. But this here I could go with, if not. From what I need to dig a little deeper into it, but I could go with this, but I just think this overlay is a bad idea.
Jim? Thoughts?
I would like to, the expert that Mike suggested, and I think we've got an agreement to review for today. Before I commit myself, I'd like to have some input from him. I don't consider myself educated enough, and frankly, I told you before the meeting, I just lost my note on moratorium, and that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. So I'd like some time. I would have Rich Hall's, or I don't know his first name. I'm thinking of Rich Hill.
It's Rick. No, it's Richard, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got his phone number.
Okay, I'll get it from you on a break, because I definitely want somebody who,
Well, I would like him to weigh in on the moratorium, but also on the what's happened between when we passed this ordinance and what's transpired in good faith based on that ordinance. My main concern with that is I don't want to expose the county to some major financial liability, trying to unwind and get involved in private agreements and going down that road just.
I would agree with what you're saying, and I'm not comfortable, since I do general legal stuff. And this is an area that, you know, we're gonna find we got consultants, attorneys coming in at $600 an hour or more. And they're trained to do that. I'd wanna hear what they have to say before I commit to anything.
What is the reason? And, because again, I'm pleading ignorance on this thing. I'm new to this position, I'm new to UDOs, I'm new to overlays, I'm new to ordinances, and I have a grasp of it now, but I'm surely no expert, but what's the purpose to do an overlay versus just convert it to industrial and allow industrial, because power generation is industrial. So what is the reasoning?
The reasoning is because, let's just say hypothetically, at the end of the 30 years, if the solar isn't renewed or rebuilt or whatever, and has to be decommissioned, then you've got 1,600 acres of industrial property. Whereas if on an overlay, you have 1,600 acres of agricultural property that can go back to farming or be rezoned by the parcel or so forth.
Yeah, and
That's making an assumption, though, that may never happen. Is the only thing, you know, that you're assuming that.
I would like to
it's
mention
never-
that's 30
It's
years.
going to go back to farming,
well,
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
and that's an assumption that may never happen.
that's true.
and I agree with Mike says, and that's what initially suckered me into this was, I shouldn't say suckered, drew me to it, was okay, so it could go back, but the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, you got SDI here, someone's gonna put a solar farm here, you know what, someone's gonna say, and then you're gonna have landowners all wanna sell, because they don't wanna look at this thing, and I think corporations will say, hey, this is a perfect corporate area for industrial, let's surround that solar farm. I don't think that'll ever get farmed again. I think it's gonna be industrial anyway, so why not call it industrial? That's my, and really, it'd be easier for the solar companies to come in if it's industrial.
There are,
Possibly.
I would
But
also
I think
say
it's fair, but I think it's
of
more
like
fair.
20, 25, 30 counties surrounding us, you know, all of northern Indiana, of all those counties, only like 5 or 6 actually went with overlays. Most of them are making them rezone. So
That's my-
and I agree. You know, on initial thought. First off, I love the fact that people are. I mean, we got to care about the citizens. I get the law aspect. I get, you know, getting into legal problems, but regardless of legal problems, the first consideration should be for the residents of this county, regardless. So I don't have the exact numbers that you had said. I think it was 80-acre parcels, and then it's how much between?
well, the issue is.
Quarter mile.
Quarter mile. Okay. I mean, I think it's a good step. I think it's a good step to protect residents. I like where you're at with, you know, not actually doing it as an overlay and having them completely rezone it as industrial, because that's what it is. And then you said, like you said, we get berms, we get actual protection based on the industrial. And 30 years to 50 years. I mean, they're going to have the option to redo this at 50 years. 50 years is not a short time of span. I won't be around. I mean, I won't. So, I mean, we rezone things all the time. They can rezone it to ag if it really becomes ag in 30 years or 50 years.
And then that's all true. Problem is, gentlemen, that we're a year and a half too late with this discussion.
I don't think we're too late at all.
I'm speaking.
How are we too late?
I'm speaking. Because of what has transpired, this all could have been discussed a year and a half ago, or when we were working on this. And like I said, I don't have a problem with looking at these kind of things going forward. But again, there's been a lot of financial transactions, a lot of agreements, a lot of things transpired that I don't know that we can unwind, and I'm not going to agree to do anything until we get that question answered. Because you may say, regardless of financial liabilities or whatever, but if the county gets stuck with a big lawsuit and we end up have to pay out a big settlement, you may feel differently about that when it comes out of the tax base. So,
How many contracts have actually been signed? How many contracts has money changed hands? Do we know?
I don't know. Well, there's a lot of signed agreements, for sure. Now, I don't know, I'm not privy because those are private agreements between landowners and solar companies. So I'm not privy to any contingencies or anything on those, whether they're options or exactly how they're structured. I'm just saying we have to understand what we're looking at.
Why would they sign a final agreement before they have the plan approved, the final plan approved?
It's a good question.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I've not,
So we're assuming. You're assuming
well,
that.
we know there are a lot of agreements that have been.
Yeah, are they
written.
final agreements or are they tentative? If such and such happens, then we will find.
I've heard from landowners that a lot of them are wrapped up in memorandums as opposed to being final signed contracts because it's cheaper to go ahead and get everybody in a memorandum as we might be doing this as opposed to have everybody sign individual contracts.
Yeah.
You know, generally what I've heard is, you know, when the law changes, you have your best plans, you're making plans because this is the current law. The law changes. It's happened to me a few times in business. Sorry, that's no longer the law. You have now, if you had your application in for approval, you were grandfathered. But do we have actual applications at the county level to put them in? I feel for them if they spent some money working out agreements, but agreements are subject to change at the private level, and they're also subject to change at the government level.
I'm not even talking about what the solar companies have spent on this stuff. I'm talking about the farmers
Yeah.
or property
know.
owners who have
Yeah,
made
we
agreements
understand
that are
that.
counting on that income. Now, all I'm saying, gentlemen, is that we need to have those questions answered before we stumble into something that we're gonna
Right. But
regret.
if we're
That's-
gonna, and
that's all I'm saying.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think getting that information needs to be immediate, and if we have to do special sessions, I think we better do it. I think sometimes and I'm not blaming anyone, I'm blaming all three of us here. I think sometimes we sit here and say, see you next Monday, when there's stuff pressing, and maybe we need to get this figured out real quick.
Can I resonate that sentiment right there? Because people that do watch this and people that pay attention, a lot of what I've heard from them is, feels like they're stalling. 2 weeks ago, we talked about a moratorium. And then the next week, nothing, we don't have any information. And I know it takes time, but at the same time, everyone's like, it just seems like they're waiting for people to get their plans in. So if we need to, make way on this, I agree. Like, let's do something,
Well,
And I'm not saying you guys aren't doing something. That's not a hit on you guys. I know it takes time, but what can we do to help speed it along? Can you guys do special sessions? Can you do things to
We
move
can.
this?
We
Okay.
can. And I'm considering that because we have a 2-week gap with Christmas and New Year's Day.
Yep.
And I'm definitely considering a median in between there somewhere to fill that gap. I think we might have to. But we'll have to get that in, get it advertised, so forth. But we got a little time on that. But
well, and I think the first thing is, to Mike's point, we need to figure out where we're at, where these people are in their plans. And, if they've spent one thing I can't go along with, and but I am sympathetic of, hey, we've made agreements, this is gonna happen. They made an agreement to lease their land at $1,000 an acre instead of the normal $250. I would be very excited about that too. But sometimes things are too good to be true or too good to be true, and and at what expense. So again, my problem with this whole thing is my ignorance over not knowing what the overlay did, and I apologize to the whole county for that. So.
But the consequence of whether you call it ignorance or whatever, the consequence of that is that, people have entered into some kind of agreements in good faith, and I want to know what the potential consequences of that are.
But the agreement is just an agreement until
Well, you
it's
don't know
inked.
that. You don't know what it
doesn't
is.
have to just be that. I mean, there can be, these solar companies have experienced this before. They got the benefit of some knowledge on us. I don't know what agreements or other documents have been reviewed and approved.
Yeah.
Okay?
By who?
Well, I know for sure.
By the solar company for that particular piece of ground and the farmer or whoever the owner of the real estate is. You can have an option that there's consideration paid of $100, $1,000, okay, that says the energy company has, the solar company has so much of a period of time within which to exercise that option, and the terms are generally in it. I don't know if what I said just is what's happened. All I know is that I don't know, and none of us in this room know right now how the legality is structured.
I mean, there may be memorandums, there may be handshake agreements, there may be signed lease agreements, there may be purchase agreements.
Well,
We don't know. We need to know.
Lease agreement on something that.
A verbal agreement, something that's not in writing.
I was just being
is-
facetious
is-
about
is,
that.
As far as an interest in real estate is not enforceable.
No.
Because it has to meet what's called a statute of frauds, which means there has to be something in writing. But that something in writing could be an option to purchase, could be any number of things
Well,
that are enforceable.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to get more educated, but I would suggest, rather than me or whoever takes my place, that you have Rick Hall here or participating by Zoom in one of those special meetings that you would have, for example, between Christmas and New Year's.
Is it possible to make a moratorium with the facet of anyone that's interested, submit it by this date, otherwise the moratorium, and you'll get it, otherwise the moratorium goes into effect until we decide what to do?
We
Is that
didn't
a
have-
compromise?
We didn't
that's
have
way
a
over my
moratorium.
pay grade.
I'm just wondering if.
We didn't
looking at
have a
the-
moratorium.
No. I'm saying if we want to do a
Before some of
moratorium.
these people acted in reliance on what the then existing law was, and that would be what the zoning ordinance UDO provided.
What I'm saying is.
And that
we're-
has the overlay.
We're talking about a moratorium, and we're saying, hey, don't do it because you could be in trouble. Because there's already ones in the works and they're ready to submit their application right now. Okay. December 31st, submit your application, otherwise moratorium, and you can get what you want by December 31st. After that, moratorium goes into effect.
Are you only going to do that for prospective people who haven't
They
signed
have
an
to have their
agreement?
plan in and their business, they have to have their plan in, their lease signed with the farmer, and their application in to do it.
I think that
Wow.
you're saying, we can overrule, parts of the overlay, for example, or the zoning, whatever it happens to be in various areas.
I think there's some merit to what you're saying, with the exception of we can't require the execution of private agreements. So we can't say you have to have all your lease agreements done by then. We can say you have to have your development plan submitted
What I'm,
and all of the,
let me rephrase it. Their lease agreements and everything they want to do is private. It has nothing to do with us. But they've based them on our ordinance.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
So they have an expectation of saying that ordinance is there. We've done all this work because you provide this ordinance. So what we're going to say is flat out warning, hey, we screwed up. However, instead of putting this all into court, those of you that really have spent all the money and you're really ready to go and you say you want to start tomorrow, whatever the date is, I threw December 31st in there. There will be a moratorium on this date. However, all applications received in the auditor's office by this date will get approved. Otherwise, it's a whole new ballgame after that. Because we're having a moratorium and we will be rewriting it. You'll be grandfathered in, but the application with its full business plan must
Not
be
grandfathered in, judged by the current ordinance.
judged by the current.
Okay,
ordinance.
because they could throw in anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we don't want to say approved. It won't be
Yeah.
approved, they'll be accepted.
They'll be accepted.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
agree with that.
That's what I'm gonna say, accepted. I think that's a compromise.
But we don't have, I don't have assurance for you today that you can implement a moratorium.
I understand that.
I
There
think-
was, the county has done it one time in my 18 years, but it was before anybody acted in reliance on something different.
Well, and we-
Plus, no one challenged it.
And there were concerns
So-
about it being challenged at that time when there
Yes.
wasn't any activity. So, and I'll just let you talk to Rick. I talked with him last week a little bit about moratoriums and so forth, but I think I'll let you, since you're,
Well, I'd like to take it a step further and see if he can participate
Yeah.
by Zoom in one of the special meetings you're
if we-
talking about.
yeah, if we get those-
Christmas and New Year's.
if we get those letters of engagement taken care of.
Is there anyone we can call in today? We're in session. I hate to pull a special session is there anyone we can pick up the phone call and pay him $600 an hour to give us an opinion on this?
No, we don't have a letter of engagement with anybody. We could do it next week. No, it doesn't have to be at a special
Okay.
session.
We've got 3 attorneys coming in. Let's see how good they are.
You know, and
We got a topic right now. This is how we're gauging you.
that takes me to another point. Do all three of them have professional liability insurance? I do, and I'm not willing to risk it.
Deal with that later. Let's
Well-
deal with that when we talk about the attorneys.
You know, the point is, if we're going to talk to somebody, let's talk to somebody
Yeah.
who's well-versed
I know.
in this, all of this stuff.
I was being
that-
facetious
Well,
when I
I-
said
And
that.
that's
No, I
my
understand,
point
but-
too.
But I want to get on this because we have concern.
We appreciate
also-
that.
We also have solar companies that have made investment. We've had farmers that have
That are counting on the
that have
income.
moved in on this, and they have invested some time in it. I'm not as worried about them counting on that income as I am their rights being respected, because their income isn't guaranteed on their farm either. You can plant, and you can have floods, and you don't get, well, they all do insurance now, but you know what I'm saying. So I think we need to be fair, and that was just a compromise. If it's legal to say, hey, it's going to be changing. If it's in by this date, it'll be accepted under the current. If not, we're stopping after that, and we're putting a pause on it.
Certainly don't see any problem with investigating that to find out.
Yeah.
I would like to hand this out. These were our thoughts on the ordinance in general. And I handed it out last week, but I would like to hand it out again. I added a piece to the back or to the bottom, and it was basically on caps. Because we're not talking about 3 solar companies anymore. We're talking about probably 5. Prospect 14 is another one that just entered into the game. And we've gotten reports from people in Ashley that there's a solar company contacting people up there. So, we're talking 6,000 acres. 2 more solar companies is at 10,000 acres. It could spiral really quick. We did a analysis of the transmission lines. Man, we could put solar everywhere across this county. Literally, there's no
Well,
part of the county that's not safe.
And
So-
caps are something I think you could change because that doesn't affect anyone applying right now.
All right.
So
I think you probably got a good point.
that's reasonable, because that there can't be challenged
Thank you.
by people that have already spent money, as long as they get in, And I would look into that. That was a good
that's a
step
major
first.
concern because there really could be a lot of counties. I have a little spreadsheet I did, but a lot of counties cap acreage. We'll accept this much, and then we're good. So definitely something to think about. Does Larry have just a minute or
Just.
a minute?
Just a minute. We
Speak
are-
fast, Larry.
We're slammed after this, so
We're
it has to be
just taking
quick.
it up an inordinate amount of time.
I want to say
on
you
this stuff.
guys have taken a lot of, it takes a lot of courage to say what you said today, and I appreciate that. Obviously, I came in here off a totally different angle when I talked about nationalization. And I'm not here to ask you if that question is answered. If it is, great. If not, it's not. Okay, I didn't expect it to be. But just comments to last week, there's a difference between nationalization, EDF grants, and privatization, Indiana and Spain and Australia in 2006. That's all. I don't want to beat that dead horse. But what I have been thinking about is there's 3 levels here: the federal, the state, and the county. The Inflation Reduction Act drove this game, right? There's $369 billion in potential green energy projects.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's a number. We are, there wasn't one Republican who voted for that, okay? At the state level, I'm not sure what the state has done to protect the county. I'm not sure there's anything out there. Maybe there is, I don't know. However, I know that Ohio in 2021 had an act called SB 52, and they actually gave more siting control power to the county councils. And I actually was speaking to Mary Martin, who's Mike Braun's lady who comes to Eckhart Library. I spoke to her on Friday, and we talked about this a little bit. And she actually knows a guy who authored that legislation in Ohio. So that gave the county a little more direction. I don't know that you guys have that direction from the state, so I'm throwing that out there.
We don't have, because
Right.
the state about a year ago
Right.
proposed legislation that would say, the state would say, here are the minimums for siting these
Right.
solar fields, and you can't be any more restrictive
Yeah.
than
You don't want
our,
the state to do it.
and the IACC, AIC, and Mayors and Commissioners Caucus, and a number of us involved in those things fought that legislation
Okay, good.
tooth and nail.
Good.
And to let those decisions stay with the county.
Right.
But there isn't any guidance from the state as far as that.
Yeah.
It's entirely up to the counties. There's
Yeah.
120 solar projects
Right.
in some stage of progress in the state right now.
My
and
point
they're
of
all
view-
governed up by different.
Yeah.
county
My point of view
regulations.
here,
Quick.
Mike, is can we impress upon the state to take some kind of a legislative emergency action to help the counties? That is my political question here.
Never happened.
I think that asking the state to be involved in local decisions
Well,
is
let
a
me-
huge mistake, because it's not gonna, it
Yeah.
always ends up going the other direction.
Well, let me say something else there then on that point.
Real quick.
Real quick, okay, the Inflation Reduction Act, many Republicans ran on repealing the Inflation Reduction Act, and they will soon control the House. They all voted against it, so that's out there. Will they be repealing it? Well, that'll be tough, obviously. So that's out there. The last point is regarding the USA has blocked more than 1,000 solar shipments over Chinese slave labor concerns. More than, quote, and this is Reuters, more than 1,000 shipments of solar energy components worth hundreds of millions of dollars have piled up at U.S. ports since June under a new law banning imports from China's Jiangxing region over concern about slave labor, according to federal customs officials and industry sources. As we move forward, if we're going to have solar panels in these fields, I read somewhere that 3/4 of the European solar panels are produced in China, and now they're holding up all of many panels with that open question. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Are they holding up Nikes and iPhones too?
That's a great, are we consistent?
To me, that's irrelevant, but I get your point. I mean,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
So
like your point about the Reduction Act, which is an inflation act, but the fact that they're holding up the panels, I mean, so the solar farms don't get the panels. It's-
That's not the debate here, actually. I mean,
Well, no,
that's-
it's got nothing to do with
No.
our.
Yeah,
It
so
don't
we
have to-
gotta move on.
from the standpoint that
We gotta move on.
Yeah, we do have to move on now.
We gotta move on.
Thank you.
Can the companies get the panels?
Good question.
Ben,
Ben.
Morning, man.
Man, there's static in here, isn't there?
Static.
you got a
You guys
shot.
rigged that.
Okay, you guys have 25 minutes to finish everything before you have to go to executive session.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Just a question. If we
Yes.
get an executive session, can we go in and out of that and take care of other business?
No.
No.
We can't drop in and out?
No.
Jim?
Well,
You can reconvene after, we can come
You
back
can-
after lunch. and-
But you can't make decisions on what your executive
Yeah.
session was just about.
Well, that's why we'd have to go out of the executive session.
No, what I mean is if you come back after
That's another
and
meeting.
finish stuff, you still can't make a decision on what
Okay.
you just did in executive
We'll come
session.
back. We'll come back if we have to. Yeah. Ben?
Hey, I've only got the one thing for you guys, it's the NIPSCO gas bill settlement we have. I did reach out to Elevitus, FCI, and received back that this was fine within spec. I did get a drawing that I sent Jim last week from Elevitus, which just shows that the gas main being extended to the east end of the property and coming in on that northeast corner of the current structure, which is fine because when we met with Dylan Dyer out there, he said when they run the gas, they will run that gas to the edge of our property line. It really didn't matter at that point where they dropped the meters, what he stated out there.
Oh,
So I give this to Jim. He sent back an email to NIPSCO, copied me in it, but I have never heard back on any of that.
I got a response. The first call or two I made, he wasn't available, and I figured, well, it's Thanksgiving week, and maybe that's a part of the issue. I heard back from him on Friday. I wanted to make sure we were not going to have a problem with them claiming we didn't timely act. And I wanted to make sure he knew that any delays were on NIPSCO and not on us, because we were ready to go with it because of what Ben had heard. I added the dialogue, however, to what Ben just related to you, and that is, are the plans that were drawn up, do they allow us to go to the far east part of the property? Because it's running the gas line a little bit further. My guess is if they don't have it in the plans, it wouldn't be that much money to run it, to get it, who knows, right?
50,000 more.
So I asked him if he could get an answer for me by today, and he said, no, the right people were not all available with it being Thanksgiving week. He said, make it the following Monday. And so I expect to hear from him this week about it. Whether, he didn't have a big problem with it, but he's not the gas company. He's a lawyer for the gas company. And, but he didn't see a big problem with it going all the way to the east boundary line. But again, we need that assurance before we know that we have a meeting of the minds between the gas company and the county.
Okay.
And I did send him that drawing, and he acknowledged receiving it.
So I guess, we wait. I did fill out a voucher. I did not turn it in yet to pay NIPSCO, the $1,402. I can hold this. I can submit it.
We can hold it for now. I may say,
Just meet all the
Susan, we got to
timelines.
get it out in the mail
Just meet all
tomorrow.
the timelines.
22nd, I think the 22nd.
I told him we were agreeable to it being dated effective the 22nd of November.
Well, I can leave this with Susan then, because this is filled out, ready to go. And then however you guys want to proceed, I know the cutoff's here real soon for claims to go out for the rest of this year or out of this budget. However you want to proceed. I also
Cutoff
brought,
is actually today, but I have authority to pay what I need.
Like a special claim.
so I have this here, I'll leave with Susan before I leave. It's a signed payable voucher for NIPSCO. I don't know, you guys want to sign this contract and then hold it, or you want to wait on all this? Because I don't want to, whatever Jim and you guys want me to do, because actually this was sent to Jim. This was not sent to me. This
It
portion.
was sent to me. I sent it to Ben because I wanted either Ben to have the knowledge to respond or get our engineer for this project to respond. and say there's everything in there looks okay. And it sounded to me like what you said earlier, our engineering firm thought it was all okay, but per Elevatus wanted to move the terminus of that all the way to the east boundary line. That's the only issue we have. That's the only one I expect to get an answer from. Other than that, we've got an agreement.
Then we also got that email, or in that email, that the settlement agreement, I'm guessing is going to need signed as well with the court when we do this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we didn't sign the settlement agreement, which would be a good thing. Not the
Well, they-
12-page thing. I'm not talking about the 12-page thing.
No,
I'm talking
no,
about
this
the
is-
thing that was filed with the court.
Right. Yeah, I have not,
This?
Well, that was just for an extension of time. There was another agreement, and I don't have it right here, settlement agreement.
off, but I.
Yeah,
Those are
this
what
is,
I have.
that's right. This one has not been signed. It's the one that the commissioners need to sign. I agreed and signed for an extension of time for them to be able to get back with us and make sure we were all on the same page.
So this is not this isn't all together. This is just separate from this.
Yeah. Well, wait, whoa, that one has, let me see them again. I didn't realize what you were showing me. This is an agreement to extend the time for them to file something with the court. It has nothing to do with the merits. This settlement agreement has to do with the merits, and it needs to be signed by the commissioners and by some official of NIPSCO, and neither has signed it as of yet.
Correct. So you want them to sign now, or you're wanting to get clarification?
Well, what
This
do you?
was all in one email. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I guess I need marching order. Are we going to, if they say, no, you need to pay us $3,000 to run it from where we had planned, that was in the agreement to, are we gonna say no? We're not gonna pay another $3,000?
I wouldn't think so, but
Yeah, I don't, no. I would say not,
That we're not gonna,
no.
what? We're not,
You can pay 3,000 to extend it
okay.
to the property line.
Okay, because there may not be anything in the plans that we had, there just would be the
Yeah.
the verbal.
The deal was to go to a certain point. If they need to come in later and go on, I don't see any problem with letting them do that. Why would there be a problem with that? I can't see any problem.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
yeah, I'm okay with it. I just didn't know, since this went to legal, our steps, so that's what.
Well, again, it's just a matter of what their attorney comes back and says to me. And their justification for saying it. If any.
So we're
Yeah.
waiting on this. We're waiting on this and the other NIPSCO thing you sent?
We could have the commissioner, it would be Bill signing it as the president. We could have the president sign it contingent upon the gas line going to the east property line has been discussed it. And we could have that here and just not send it until we hear back. But we
Both
could
of
have
them?
it-
Or just your agreement? The
I'd have-
agreement and this
Well,
NIPSCO?
my agreement there is actually one for Bill to sign as, in his capacity. And then the 12-page document that has NIPSCO on the top, that's for sure. That's what their scope of work is intended to be. So that's the one I was talking about, having Bill sign that contingent on it, on them extending the line to the property line, to the east property line. So that we have it taken care of and approved in advance with that contingency, so we didn't have to like advertise a special meeting or something to get a signature on it.
It would be nice to have that in case they did approve this, we can submit just make your motion contingent on,
Yeah.
on
Them
NIPSCO.
accepting the Elevatus document.
So the commissioners are going to make a motion for the president to sign the settlement agreement and the NIPSCO extension of gas line services contingent on what?
Contingent on running the gas line to the northeast boundary line
Respond.
of the property. Property we have there.
Right, DeKalb County highway property. Okay,
I'll make the motion that Susan just typed.
have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Opposed, same.
You have the contract, Bill?
Yeah, I have everything.
I'll give you this drawing to go along with it.
One quick note about coming back after lunch, there's a 1:30 meeting scheduled for this room.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
we can't go back. Come back
That's the drawing
super
for Elevitus attached.
All right.
Wrong tube. I was laughing. It was like burping. Ugh. I'm glad it just didn't go everywhere.
That's always exciting.
Excuse me.
Okay. That it, Ben?
That's all I have for you guys.
Well, while you're here, Ben, let's jump over into the buggy ordinance, first reading. That work for everybody? You have that in hand?
Do we have the final with the corrections?
Should have.
Somewhere. Gotta find it.
Can we read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, mamacita.
Ordinance 2022-R-13, DeKalb County Code 9-2-2, an ordinance providing for license fees for horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers and providing penalties for violations thereof. Whereas on November 7th, 1983, the DeKalb County Board of Commissioners and DeKalb County Council adopted Ordinance 83-5, providing for license fee and service charge for horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers and providing penalties for late payment or non-payment. And whereas the DeKalb County Commissioners rescinded Ordinance 83-5 at a prior meeting this year without enacting a replacement ordinance. And whereas regular county highway use of horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers have increased administrative costs for repair to said county highways caused by road damage caused by horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers. And whereas the DeKalb County Board of Commissioners has determined that there exists a need to enact a license fee for horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers to $200 per horse-drawn vehicle and/or trailer, along with additional considerations. Now therefore be it hereby ordained by the DeKalb County Commissioners, DeKalb County, Indiana, that 1, this ordinance is enacted pursuant to Title 36 Indiana Code. Definitions: as used in this ordinance, horse-drawn vehicle means a buggy, carriage, dray, or wagon designed or intended to use one or more horses as motive power. The term does not include horse-drawn agricultural implements. As used in this ordinance, horse-drawn trailer means a wagon or trailer which itself is pulled behind or attached as a supplemental vehicle to a horse-drawn vehicle. The term does not include horse-drawn agricultural implements. As used in this ordinance, the owner of a horse-drawn vehicle includes any individual, firm, corporation, or association that rents, leases, or has exclusive use of horse-drawn vehicle for a period of at least 30 days in any calendar year. As used in this resident of DeKalb County, Indiana means a person who has his or her or their principal place of residence in DeKalb County, Indiana, and who owns or operates a business within DeKalb County, Indiana. As used in this ordinance, lighting means lighting visible from front and rear of the vehicle. Form of license: the auditor of DeKalb County shall be responsible to make available for sale in DeKalb County all numbered metallic tags and all self-adhesive label tags required by this ordinance. The form of the metallic tag shall be with a color scheme providing for a white or light background and a black or dark numerals and legends bearing the legend DeKalb County, Indiana, the year of issuance, and a consecutive number. The auditor shall change the coloring scheme each year of the self-adhesive label tags. Number 4, annual fee, horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers. There is hereby imposed upon each resident of DeKalb County, Indiana, who is the owner of one or more horse-drawn vehicles, including trailers, which horse-drawn vehicle or vehicles or trailers are used upon the highways or roads in DeKalb County, Indiana, an annual license fee in the amount of $200. Said annual license fee of $200 shall apply to each horse-drawn vehicle and each horse-drawn trailer thereof. Each DeKalb County resident who owns a horse-drawn vehicle used upon the highways or roads of DeKalb County, Indiana, shall pay the license fee attributable to such horse-drawn vehicle or vehicles as set forth by this ordinance to the DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor. Such required license fee or fees required under this ordinance shall be paid on an annual basis. Upon payment of such license fee, such owner of a horse-drawn vehicle or trailer shall receive from the DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor a numbered metallic tag with respect to subsequent renewal years for the horse-drawn vehicle or trailer previously licensed under this ordinance. The owner of a horse-drawn vehicle or trailer may receive from DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor a self-adhesive label tag bearing the year of issue. The owner shall thereafter affix the numbered metallic tag to such horse-drawn vehicle or trailer by the use of screws or nails through the holes provided in the metallic tag and into the horse-drawn vehicle or trailer with no covering, opaque or otherwise, and keep and preserve said metallic tag on said vehicle or trailer so long as said metallic tag is effective and has not expired. With respect to subsequent renewal years for a horse-drawn vehicle or trailer previously licensed under this ordinance for which a self-adhesive label tag was furnished by the DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor, the owner shall thereafter affix the self-adhesive label tag to the existing numbered metallic tag. Each numbered metallic tag shall be valid annually on a calendar year basis and must be renewed for the coming year before the last business day of the year, provided, however, the expiration date shall be extended an additional year for a horse-drawn vehicle or trailer properly licensed under this ordinance for which a self-adhesive label tag was furnished by the DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor and which is affixed to the metallic tag. Only one metallic tag provided by this ordinance may be attached to any horse-drawn vehicle or trailer anytime. At time of collection of the annual license fee, the issuance of the number of metallic tags or self-adhesive label tags for subsequent renewal years earlier described, the DeKalb County auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor shall also issue a registration receipt for each numbered metallic tag or self-adhesive label tag so purchased. The registration receipt shall be countersigned by the owner of the horse-drawn vehicle or trailer. The registration receipt shall be carried in or on the horse-drawn vehicle or trailer all times of operation upon highways or roads of DeKalb County, Indiana. Late fees and replacement fees. A late fee of $200 shall be imposed on any person registering for a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer license, which includes numbered metallic tags and self-adhesive label tags within 10 days of the new calendar year. In addition, in the event that a person registers to replace a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer license, then a replacement fee in the amount of $40 shall be imposed for such replacement of each horse-drawn license, metallic tag, or self-adhesive label tags replaced. Partial year license fee reduction. An annual license fee set forth in this ordinance that is obtained for the first time after January 1 of then current year shall pay a fee for that month and for each of the remaining months in the calendar year that remain. Unlawful. It shall be unlawful for any person to use or operate a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer, the owner of which vehicle and/or trailer is a resident of DeKalb County, Indiana, upon a public highway or road in DeKalb County, Indiana, unless the metallic tag requires this ordinance is attached to the vehicle and/or trailer for which the license fee required has in fact been paid. It shall also be unlawful for any person to use or operate a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer unless said vehicle and/or trailer has lighting visible from the front and rear of vehicle and/or trailer in accordance with Indiana laws, rules, and regulations. It shall be unlawful for any person to use or operate a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer, the owner of which vehicle and/or trailer is a resident of DeKalb County, Indiana, upon a public highway or road in DeKalb County, Indiana, with an expired metallic tag required by this ordinance. It shall be unlawful for any person to transfer the numbered metallic tags required by this ordinance from one horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer to another horse-drawn vehicle and/or trailer, and from one owner to another owner. It shall be unlawful for any person to operate a horse-drawn vehicle and/or horse-drawn trailer, the owner of which vehicle and/or trailer is a resident of DeKalb County, Indiana, unless the registration receipt required by this ordinance it is in possession of the operator or contained on or within the vehicle or trailer. Non-residents, nothing contained in this ordinance shall levy a license fee or require the registration of a horse-drawn vehicle or a horse-drawn trailer owned by a non-resident of DeKalb County, Indiana, even if such vehicle or trailer is from time to time used or operated upon the highways or roads of DeKalb County, Indiana. Penalties, all provisions of this ordinance are herein amended and restated, have heretofore been in force and effect, and shall remain in force and effect for purposes of this ordinance. And the violation of any such provision shall constitute an ordinance violation and shall continue to a Class C infraction as defined now and thereafter by Title 34 or Title 35 of Indiana Code. For an offense for a horse-drawn vehicle or horse-drawn trailer, the fine is $200 and $200 for each subsequent offense. In addition, operation of a horse-drawn vehicle or horse-drawn trailer without proper lighting visible from the front and rear of the vehicle or trailer shall also constitute a Class C infraction. And for such infraction by a horse-drawn vehicle or horse-drawn trailer shall be an additional fine of $200 and $200 for each subsequent offense. Enforcement, it shall be the duty of the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department to enforce this ordinance, and any duly qualified and acting law enforcement office serving in DeKalb County, Indiana may enforce the terms of this ordinance. Procedures for arrest and court appearance shall be in accordance with IC 9-30-3 as amended. Proceedings for ordinance violation enforcement shall be in accordance with IC 34-28-5 as amended. Delivery of fees. The license fees collected by the DeKalb County Auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor for horse-drawn vehicles and/or horse-drawn trailers pursuant to the terms and conditions of this ordinance shall be delivered to the DeKalb County Auditor for deposit. Each horse-drawn vehicle or horse-drawn trailer license fee collected, the DeKalb County Auditor shall deposit the $200 license fee in a special fund for road repairs or to be deposited in a county highway fund established and maintained by the DeKalb County Auditor. For each horse-drawn vehicle or horse-drawn trailer, the DeKalb County Auditor shall collect an amount to defray the auditor expenses for obtaining the metallic tags and other renewal tags, and then deposit the net amount into said special funds for road maintenance through the County Highway Department. Any compensation to be paid to DeKalb County Auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor involved in the licensing and collection process shall be provided for in a separate fee-for-service contract entered into by and between DeKalb County and the DeKalb County Auditor or other authorized designee of the auditor. The express or implied repeal or amendment by this ordinance or any other ordinance or part of any other ordinance does not affect any rights or liabilities accrued, penalties incurred, or procedures begun prior to the effective date of this ordinance. Those rights, liabilities, and proceedings are continued, and penalties shall be imposed and enforced under the repealed or amended ordinance as if this ordinance had not been adopted. No part of this ordinance shall be interpreted to conflict with any local, state, or federal laws, and all reasonable efforts should be made to harmonize the same. Should any section or part thereof of this ordinance be declared by a court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid, such decision shall not affect the validity of the ordinance as a whole or any other portion thereof, other than that portion so declared to be invalid, and for the purpose the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. This ordinance shall be effective for all metallic tags or self-adhesive tags issued with an effective date on or after, whatever you guys decide.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
You're welcome.
I think
You
you're going
saved
to
us
make that
considerable amount of time.
January 1,
Yeah.
January 1.
I think.
Nice reading, Susan. Thank you.
Thanks.
This beat hardly.
Good job.
Any comments or questions?
I'm going to put you on the audio book circuit.
I'm ready to move on.
No, thanks.
Ready to move on this.
Yes, we are.
And make them-
First reading.
Make a motion on first reading to approve ordinance number 2022 R
When you get a chance.
dash what?
R-13,
R-13,
DeKalb County Code 9-2-2.
9-2-2, DeKalb County Commissioners and ordinance providing for license fees for horse-drawn vehicles and horse-drawn trailers and providing penalties for violations thereof.
I will
On the first reading.
That's what I said on the first
Okay.
reading.
I will second that for first reading in order to move forward to the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion is approved on first reading. Thank you, Ben, for sticking around.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. I didn't ask if you had, well, you was open to comments or questions, I guess.
Speaking of buggies, though, LTAP is working on a new repair material to do just repairs on the troughs.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Interesting.
so I told Jen we would test that for them when they get ready to put it out.
All right.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it for free, right? LTAP's gonna do it all
The,
too.
the testing.
Oh, I thought they're gonna repair it too.
Well, no. No, but,
They might
That's
come up and
nice.
let us try
Good
their,
news.
Yeah.
their task.
Okay, we're up to the break, so we will recess.
We're humming along.
Okay, so do you want to go out and do the pledge and come back for like 12 minutes,
Yeah,
real
Yes.
quick?
Let's finish our business.
yeah.
I'm leaving everything on, so shut your microphones off.
My microphone is off. Talk like Joe Biden.
oh, it's at 10:30. I thought it was.
And that's
No, we're having something right after.
Write his number down.
Oh,
317 31
Okay.
16.
Everyone got their mic on? Got yours, Mike?
There you go. We are back in business. What's
Okay,
first,
so the
Susan?
first thing we have is the indemnity release and hold harmless. I have a question. Is that IM or IN? I thought it
I
was
am.
M. Okay.
No,
Every-
I am.
I was gonna say-
Indemnity.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I need to fix that. No, you have an M. So anyways, for that, for the city of Butler, the release hold harmless for the
Yes.
Old Humane Shelter, we need a
Shelter.
motion.
Yep.
Motion?
Motion to approve the hold harmless agreement for City of Butler.
Second.
Motion is second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
How do we get a copy of that to Mr. or Mayor Hartman?
I can email it.
Just email.
Would you please?
Should we just email that?
Yeah.
He'll be so happy.
Yeah, he's bitten at the,
I can email it because it
chomping at
also
the bit to get
needs
that.
his signature and the city of Butler Public Works. signature.
Okay. Yeah, if you could get that to him right away, I'd appreciate it.
I will do
Let's
that.
jump down to the art plans. Those will take to council. What you think, gentlemen? We have the first proposal, and then we have the commission motion number 2.
Yeah.
Why is that titled Commissioner Motion Number 2? Is that what it's going to end up being? If we approve
Well-
it?
Yeah, well, it's just the second, basically the second proposal. Susan typed that up, so I assume that's what you meant. But Commissioner
What's the
motion
question?
number 2, that's the current plan that's,
Yeah, that was, yeah, that's more of a title for me for council.
Yeah, if we approve it.
Yes.
If it goes, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, so the committee met last week, and this was unanimous votes for the revised ARPA plan. So there's there we go. So $1,250,000 for the highway department, which,
That's department, not debt,
Yeah, I
right?
didn't- yeah,
Okay.
it's department.
That had me confused.
That
'cause
was my, I know, I saw that last
couldn't
night.
use it for debt, that's why I was,
No,
okay.
no.
No, it's
Department,
department.
gotcha. All right, thank you.
so that covers the water line, plus
Yeah.
another $1 million on the project.
Okay,
With the $2 million for broadband is still in there.
okay.
The server upgrade and the Watchman
Cloud service.
cloud service, yeah. We put an additional $600,000, or the committee did, back in for Sunny Meadows funding, simply because we don't know for sure what we're going to need to do there. And regardless of what we do, there's going to be some expense involved if we have to wind it down and close things, or if we need to make some improvements to keep it open one way or the other, there's going to be some expense involved.
What happens to any leftover if it's not all expended?
Then it gets reappropriated.
It's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So we left 500,000 in there for the solar at community corrections, because we had just talked about that again recently. The Cisco network switches, that's something that Jack still has to do. Or still needs to be done, or he's in the process of doing it, I guess, and that was originally what we talked about for funding on that. We had some discussion back and forth on contributing to the DeKalb County housing study that was done, whether to leave that in or take it out. There were a number of the committee members who felt like that was an important aspect of things, particularly the mayor's. You know, there are some serious housing issues in the county, so the consensus was to leave that in.
Was that study already done?
The study's already done, and they've paid 70, or they've already covered 70,000 of it.
Who's they, the cities?
No, well, yeah, they've participated in that. It's the economic development
Economic
group
development.
that did the commission the study. We left the 15,000 in for the exempt staff for the health department for all the extra hours they worked over the COVID period. We left 250,000 in for the courthouse generator, particularly based on all the issues we had when the power went out a couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever. I think that's I think that's a good idea to leave that in.
Been something been on the table for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Everybody felt that was pretty important. We left the $200 in to help with the Waterloo Sewer Project engineering. That's a $16 million project. I did get a letter from the Waterloo Town Council president asking us if we would leave that in to help them with that project. We left, or put the 600,000 back into the drain and ditch engineering. I think that becomes even more important now with the surveyor situation and that office kind of up in the air. We're not going to be able to get nearly the engineering, and it's been slow anyway, coming out of the office, but I think we're going to have to look at outside engineering for those. And then we took the, and that was the motion on those items there was made by Pam Howard. Mike Hartman seconded that. Then these next three items were the balance left over from those items up above. And that was moved by Brent Shaw and seconded by Bob Kraft. That was to put set aside another $461,000 for the $461,127 for the highway department. So we're talking about roughly a $300,000 contingency, so that could actually put another 100 and some thousand back in the project itself to lower what we're going to need to finance. Then we left $500,000 in the kitty for the tower at Central Communications if we want to continue that conversation, which I think has some merit because that takes two towers out of the mix for somewhere down the road. We don't have to do a tower at all at Highway Department or the new jail.
How would the jail convey its information to that tower? Would it go through the internet? I mean,
well, I can tell you.
Or does it just have an antenna that shoots to it?
Yeah.
Repeater?
Yeah, because this is a 180-foot tower, so you got line of sight.
So they'd have line of sight to it?
And Jason Meeks and Brian Humberger can give you a much more comprehensive explanation of how that works. But what that does also, the tower that's out there now is owned by AES. We just rent space on it.
Right.
And obviously, there have been some glitches and issues and so forth with AES during the transition and so forth. And, you know, what I'd like to do, if we leave this in, is have Jason and Brian come in and actually give you the point-by-point presentation on why this works the way it does.
I'd like to hear that. I was kind of against it at first just because the pretty good deal we get from AES on rent. The thing is, though, this ARPA money would be interest-free. I calculated it on what the interest is worth to build a tower, and we would be dropping a lease with them at that point and have our own tower. So I think it deserves discussion. I'm willing to leave that line item in and let's discuss it
Okay.
further.
We need Ben involved in that discussion.
Ben involved, too.
He's the one that's voiced the most concern about not having his own tower.
Well, we certainly,
So we-
according to what the conversation that's been brought forth so far, is this would actually improve communications throughout the county. And again, I'm not the guy to give you the technical.
Right.
All right.
So, and again, I want to stress that any of these funds that don't get
Reappropriate.
spent, we can reappropriate at any time. Then the last item there was $200,000 for IT upgrades and cybersecurity, which we all know
Oh, yeah.
is pretty critical, pretty important thing to have. And that
Right.
was really driven home at some of the sessions at the conference last week. So I think having that available is.
I think the rest of that's pretty much self-explanatory, what we've already spent.
Yeah, what we've already spent.
Yeah,
We left the reserve in there.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't think that we're going to use $400,000 for State
but
Board
we-
of Accounts.
Good to leave it there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I say, reappropriate it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good compromise list, and I appreciate the hard work of them coming back and forth and listening and us bending here and there. One thing I wondered on the broadband, the Starlink that Elon Musk going is amazing. I'm wondering, and it's really not available here yet, I'm wondering if you could make a deal with someone like Elon Musk as a county saying, hey, we threw you $500,000, $1 million. Could you make DeKalb County a priority? Serious. And put us ahead of the schedule. And, you know, if we have to put our own infrastructure, so be it. But I'm just saying, I know someone that has that Starlink. Their upload and download speeds are amazing, unlimited usage, and there's no hardware. There's no telephone poles, there's no wiring. It's just, it'd be awesome, but I'm not saying that's what we have to do. I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if a deal could be negotiated, thinking outside the box again.
I think we have to look at every possibility or every option to get this done, because we've got to get broadband out
I think it's,
into those
yeah.
areas. So I've got a meeting with LegTel later this week. I'm going to meet with Chuck Shurek's broadband group and you know, try to kind of broaden our search a little bit. I did talk to Lieutenant Governor last week. They're expecting over $700 million
Wow.
of this.
Ready funds, is that?
No, this will be the Inflation Reduction Act money.
Oh,
Yeah. Inflation, yeah.
But that's all, that, they're expecting that much into the state, so that'll get distributed out, both in formula grants and competitive grants. So, you know, I think.
okay.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the ARP fund proposal as Commissioner Motion 2.
Okay, and I'll second.
A motion second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thanks for working on that, Mike.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, I was glad to do it.
Yep.
You know, it's important.
Okay.
Okay, so along with that, Do you want to do the ordinance for those funds? Because you now have a spending plan in place. It's another little
How many pages
step that
is
we
it?
have to do.
Oh, I think we could do that.
It's just,
I read that one. Okay, I just want to make sure.
it was
it's
the
in-
extra email I sent you
Yes, I
guys.
got that, yeah. You want to read it? Or Bill, it's up to you. Do you want to pursue that?
Yeah, we can, I'll entertain a motion.
I don't think,
We don't need a motion for her to read it, do we? Don't we
no,
need to
no,
read it?
Yeah,
What I'm saying is, do you
No.
want to put this on, you want her to read the ordinance for this?
Are they waiting on us?
10:30 though.
It's
We got 10
10:30.
minutes.
10:30? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, ordinance 2022-R-21, an ordinance adopting the county fiscal spending plan for DeKalb County, Indiana. Whereas the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, which is SLFRF, a part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, which is ARPA, provided for distribution to the state, local, and tribal governments across the country a total sum of $350 billion to support their response to and recovery from COVID-19 public health emergency. And whereas the total amount available to DeKalb County, Indiana is a sum of $8,446,498.34, with the county receiving the first half in May of 2021 and issued quietus number 61614. And whereas the county received the second half in June of 2022 and issued quietus number 62791. And whereas State Board of Accounts State Examiner Directive 2021-1 requires county commissioners to adopt a county ordinance establishing a separate local grant fund called the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund number 8950, as well as to develop a plan for the use of the funds that corresponds with the elements laid out in section 603 of ARPA. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of DeKalb County, Indiana did create said fund by adoption of ordinance number 2021-R-11, DCC 12-6-1 on May 10th, 2021. And whereas commissioners have given due consideration to an initial plan for the use of the funds distributed to county by virtue of SLFRF, and whereas commissioners acknowledge that county shall only use the funds provided to cover costs incurred by the county on or after March 3rd, 2021, shall obligate funds by December 31st, 2024, and shall expend all funds by December 31st, 2026. To respond to public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19, or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, or to aid the impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality, to respond to the workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay to eligible workers of the metropolitan city non-entitlement unit of local government or county that are performing such essential work, or by providing grants to eligible employers that have eligible workers who perform essential work. For the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue for such metropolitan city non-entitlement unit of local government or county government due to the COVID-19 public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most recent full fiscal year of the metropolitan city non-entitlement unit of local government or county prior to the emergency, or to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure as described in section 603 of ARPA. Now therefore be it resolved by DeKalb County Commissioners of DeKalb County that it hereby adopts the county's plan for use of SLFRF local recovery funds as follows. 1, DeKalb County determined revenue loss and elected the standard allowance of up to $10 million to spend on government services through the period of performance that began for costs incurred on or after March 2nd, 2021, and that should be March 3rd, 2021, and spent by December 31st, 2026. 2, DeKalb County may use SLFRF funds on government services and plans to do so. Government services generally include any service traditionally provided by a government unless Treasury has stated otherwise, as described in the final rule of SLFRF by the U.S. Treasury effective on April 1, 2022. Examples include, but are not exhaustive, construction of schools and hospitals, road, building and maintenance and other infrastructure, health services, general government administration, staff and administrative facilities, environmental remediation, provision of police, fire, and other public safety services, including purchase of fire trucks and police vehicles. Every use that is eligible under other eligible use categories are also eligible under revenue loss because those eligible uses are also services provided by recipient governments. And Treasury encourages recipients to use their funds for investments that serve the needs of their communities and build a stronger and more equitable recovery. And the plan may be amended from time to time so long as the amendment complies with Section 603C. So resolve this day. Today.
Ordinance number?
It is 2022-R-21.
We'll move that we approve ordinance 2022-R-21.
Second.
A motion is second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We got 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
What do we have to finish up?
We have that agreement regarding payment of costs for county use of consultants. I don't know if we want to do that or put that on hold.
We better put that on hold. What
Okay.
else?
That's what I was thinking.
Don't we?
I did send one.
Are you
We
on?
did Thalassa. We did Thalassa, but I did the one for, is it EDU Sculpin or something like that? I used the name you followed up.
Yeah, with the correct name, yeah. Yeah. I would suggest that we don't sit on those for too long, because regardless of however this thing ends up, we're going to need to have that money deposited to pay our consultants, which are going to have to be involved one way or another to move these, like the EDA agreements and so forth,
Sure.
ahead.
I question whether we can use the consultants to revisit this ordinance.
Yes.
I mean, that would not be in their best interest.
Well, no,
To ask them, in other words, only if it moves ahead.
yeah.
My point was we're run up against clock. I want to hear
Yeah,
it. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong.
No,
I
no,
think
I
next
understand.
meeting would be a perfect time to act on it for sure. I'm just
Okay.
saying, we got 10:30,
Yeah.
But do you guys need to approve the letter of engagements with Barnes and Thornburg and Baker Tilly so that when you're asking them questions, you're,
Before you answer that, it is possible when I get a hold of Rick Hall this week that he won't want to do anything until there's a signed engagement agreement.
We do it after?
There's no downside
Yeah.
to doing letters of engagement. If we don't use them, they don't charge us, and if we
Yeah.
need them, they're there.
Let's just recess and we'll come back right after.
Well, we have a one,
There's a 1:30 meeting in here.
well, we could
Oh,
do,
well, we'll be done.
we'll have room
before that.
after,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't take a
I'd rather
lunch.
not rush that stuff because it's pretty important.
Yeah, we
Yes.
just wrap it up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Take a late lunch, or take a lunch.
just go.
So I figured you didn't want me here for the attorney interviews. Do you want me to come back or something for these things?
Yes,
Give me
if
a
you
time.
could. 1 o'clock?
Do 1 o'clock.
I've got people coming at 1:30. It's going to be, it's a tax abatement
What's
committee.
what's our last appointment?
12.
Well,
12.
12:30.
say 12:30.
Yeah,